Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co host, Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Another week in the books. I'll tell you, last week, of course, I was down for the count. I had a nasty ear infection. I mean, I could give you the rundown of what my Tuesday was. Basically, Monday, I woke up. Well, basically, right after WrestleMania, I felt like I had my ear was all clogged, and like I thought, oh man, just got some wax in my ear. It happens. I need to go to the doctor and get it, flushed out. But I thought I'll try some at home remedies.
Right.
They seem to be kind of working. But then this past Tuesday, I woke up and I was in excruciating pain. Went to the doctors, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you've got a nasty ear infection." So
Oh,
I was down for the count most of last week.
that's never fun.
Yes, so we had to push back our show last week to this week. I know we want to talk about our fantasy bookings for WrestleMania 40. I did some work on it. I have some ideas. I don't know that I have a full card in
Okay.
mind, but I definitely have some idea. Because to me, when I do these fantasy bookings, like it's easy to just say, okay, well, these are 12 matches that I'd like to get to in some way.
Right.
But like I want to think about what's that story going to look like? How are we laying that out throughout the year? And I think that's I start to think about like, okay, look, this is my fantasy booking, so I can book it the way I would want it.
Right.
And so I can have my massive, what I've talked about before, the massive 64 man King of the Ring tournament.
Right.
And I lined it all up, and I thought it was a pretty good tournament. In fact, I thought it was an excellent tournament, if I do say so myself. I tried to model it after the March Madness type tournaments. I wanted like a 5-12 upset. I
Right.
thought Austin Theory would make perfect sense as a good 5 seed.
Right.
And I thought, man, like I want to push another challenger for the U.S. title. I thought, I know they want to put Montez Ford in a singles run at some point.
Yep.
Man, wouldn't it make sense if he was the 12 seed and got an upset win on Austin Theory, the 5 seed in the first round?
That would make a lot of sense.
And then that could build up a SummerSlam U.S. title match, Montez Ford and Austin Theory.
Yes. I think the profits will get split up.
I do too. I think that's one of those things that's going to happen at the brand split,
Yeah.
the draft, which I will say, as much as I'm not a fan of the brand split and the drafts, I'm more of a fan of it happening this time of year, like right after WrestleMania,
Yep.
as opposed to October. And then you go right into November, you have Survivor Series, the head to head matchups. Never was a big fan of, just like it felt forced, and nobody, like most guys weren't even on their brands like a month.
A month. And then here we go.
It's, oh yay, I just got drafted to SmackDown after spending all year on Raw, but now I bleed blue. Like
Yeah.
nobody's buying that.
No.
I do agree with you though. The Street Profits get split up in the draft. It does seem like no matter what they try to do, they tried to put the Rey Mysterio on SmackDown to get him away from Dominic,
But then they blended
but
the
then they just
judgment day.
kind of blended everything and put the Judgment. Yeah, well, especially when Rhea won the Royal Rumble.
Exactly. And the thing is, from what I read online, this draft is pretty much a clean slate for Triple H.
Yeah,
He's gonna have he's gonna put people where he wants, get his storylines the way he wants.
right. And it's interesting. I wonder, like, what does this mean for the championships? Like, are we splitting up the Raw and SmackDown tag team championships? Are we splitting up the Universal title and WWE championship?
I don't know if they're gonna split the Universal and WWE Championship,
But maybe add another belt.
but I think they're gonna add a belt.
So to me, what would make the most sense is if you're well, I mean, I know not splitting, but adding a champion and just saying Roman Reigns, say he gets drafted to SmackDown, he's the number one overall pick. I'm assuming they're going by the old rules, which are like, the host show gets the first pick of each round, which
I
has
don't
been
know.
the last
They
couple of
did it
years.
so differently
Oh,
before.
I know.
Like one year they did Raw got the first pick in every round, and then
Right.
they went Raw, SmackDown, Raw because Raw was 3 hours. I don't know
Right.
what.
They did that, I know, twice. And then when they moved Fox, or when SmackDown got moved to Fox, I know what they tried to do. They tried doing the SmackDown got the first pick on the Fox airing, and then on Monday Night Raw on USA,
First
Raw
pick.
got the first pick.
And I loved how they had these executives in war rooms for those.
Oh yeah, that was so stupid.
That was just like, okay.
Like I wish, like I'm fine with them doing characters that are supposed to be USA executives and Fox executives, but could we have some consistency with them? Could we have it be where like we have an executive, like if Adam Pearce can't be in charge of both shows, if we're going to keep this separate,
Right.
you can have Adam Pearce kind of as that figurehead on either Raw or SmackDown, but not both, and you
Right.
have to have somebody in charge of the other one.
Exactly. And who I would love to see, but he can't yet, would be put William Regal back on.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
But according to his AEW contract, I think we have to wait 2 more years before he can
Oh wow.
appearance on TV.
Oh wow. What a sweet gig for AEW to pull that off.
Well, because I think it was a 3-year deal and Regal got out of it because his son's working for WWE. And there's been pictures of him in gorilla position at Raw and SmackDown.
So he can kind of work there, but not work there, as long as he's not on air.
Exactly. He can work there, but he can't be on air.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with our WrestleManias.
Okay. Nick, here, why don't you go get your phone and watch Tubi?
I'm waiting.
What, Sean?
Don't wait on camera. Where did you put my phone?
I don't know. You brought it in.
Why does it keep fading?
I don't know. This is all good questions.
Yes.
My WrestleMania 40 main event.
Okay.
My boy.
I think it's going to be based upon the Dusty Rhodes documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be Roman versus Cody again.
Okay.
I think the way Cody was talking about Dusty and the chase,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very similar to Dusty chasing Rick. Cody's going to chase Roman.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have it again at 40.
Ugh.
And I think we're going to get a different result, though.
I hope so. And look, I'll be amped for it. By the time we get there, I will be ready for it.
Right.
And I'll definitely be in the match. And I'll be rooting hardcore for Cody. Yeah. Right now, you say that to me 11 months, 2 weeks out. And my response is kind of meh.
But yeah, I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
In my WrestleMania, like I said, I talked about the King of the Ring tournament that I was going to have.
Right.
And it was going to be it was going to be happening, say, Memorial Day weekend. It was going to be the kickoff of the King of the Ring tournament.
Okay.
Which I know is the original scheduled time for the King of the Ring. But not so much anymore. Now it's going to be Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, which I'm okay with because I didn't like the idea of having an entire... Well, we were going to have King and Queen of the Ring tournaments in Saudi Arabia. I don't like the idea of Saudi Arabia getting my event. Like, King of the Ring was kind of my thing as a kid. Like, I loved that event.
Right.
And I don't like Saudi Arabia getting that because, one, like, I'll just say it, the way they treat women. Like, it's completely disrespectful. I don't like that they would get a Queen of the Ring tournament there.
Exactly.
Like, they don't deserve it.
They really don't.
like, hell, put the thing in the Garden and let Madison Square Garden host the first King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments.
Hey, it is their spiritual home, as Vince said
Exactly.
before. Let's do it.
But anyway, so my King of the Ring tournament was going to feature Cody Rhodes winning in the finals against as one of the 4-1 seeds. My 4-1s were going to be John Cena, who's decided he's coming back and is part of the King of the Ring tournament when this is announced.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, and my fourth number 1 seed is one of only 2 men that are active and in the Hall of Fame, Edge.
Okay.
And I'm basically basing it on the being in the Hall of Fame and having won at WrestleMania in a Hell in a Cell match.
Right.
Like, I want to factor everything in, like, as far as like what their records are in recent years and what their, overall, like, where they're at in their careers.
Right.
Like, I want to factor all of that in. In fact, I wanted to have a King of the Ring committee, just like the tournament committee for college basketball.
Have people select.
Exactly.
Seating.
And I figured they could have a great special on the network, WWE Bracketology.
That would be fun.
Exactly.
Or what they could do is they could have a Raw bracket.
Yes.
A SmackDown bracket.
An NXT bracket.
An NXT bracket. And then have just like a random wild card bracket.
Yeah, wild card bracket would be, that'd be fine. So anyway, in my, I tried to go through my head. I'm thinking about like, okay, who are the 1s, the 2s, like, and I'm working my way down in order. And I'm thinking, like, I think I had Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Gunther, and I forget who my other 2 seed was.
Okay.
But then it's going to escape because it's funny because I'm sure like they were probably like the first one I thought of as a 2 seed, but
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I
know it wasn't Drew.
Lashley, Sheamus.
And it wasn't Sheamus. Because I know I had both of them on the same line, Sheamus and Drew.
Okay.
And it wasn't Theory because, like I said, I had Theory as a 5 seed. Basically, I planned that there for Theory to be a 5 because I wanted that 5-12 matchup of him and Montez Ford.
Because you need a 5-12 upset.
Yeah. Anybody who's ever watched the NCAA tournament knows there's always one 5-12 upset.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so like as I worked through the tournament, I thought I'm like, well, who would I want in different rounds? Who do I want as upsets? And I thought, and who do I want to win it, and who do I want him to win it against? And I thought, well, I mean, Cody and Gunther, they were the last 2 in the Royal Rumble. It would make perfect sense, and what synergy and the way they could talk about it. Oh, Cody and Gunther, 1-on-1 for the King of the Ring Championship. And fight to challenge Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And that's the key here. Wow. So I had to find another way to get Cody back in the main event.
At SummerSlam.
Right. And so I thought, okay, Cody goes to SummerSlam. Cody wins the championship at SummerSlam, has his great The Shining Moment in Detroit, the heartland of America. I don't love it because it screams to me a lot like WrestleMania 34, which ironically was the WrestleMania before I went to my first that I attended, 35.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, man, if I turned off WrestleMania 34 right at the conclusion of AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, so basically just before the low blow, and I'd gone to bed and just told myself, that's it, WrestleMania was over at that point, I would have been so happy with WrestleMania.
Right.
Everything that happened after that point was designed to piss me off. And when I tell you I was pissed off when I went to bed that night, I couldn't sleep. I was so angry. And this year kind of reminded me of that.
Oh yeah, this year was bad.
Right.
And that's what my niece, because my brother's birthday was 2 days after.
Oh.
So I called to wish him a happy birthday, and my niece who was in the background. How's WrestleMania doing? Just to get me fired up even more. I didn't agree with the whole thing. We
No,
all
I didn't either.
but it is what it is. According to them, Cody hasn't done enough. Adversity.
So Stardust wasn't enough adversity. Leaving the company wasn't enough adversity.
Starting competition wasn't enough adversity.
Like, and I saw the thing on from Bully Ray when he posted. He said if Cody was or if Dusty was alive and Dusty booked WrestleMania, how would Dusty have booked it?
Right.
And I know what he was trying to get from people. He was trying to get people to acknowledge that Dusty would love the chase, and he would love Cody chasing Roman for a year.
Right. And I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, and that probably is. And look, I'm sure it'll be good. And I don't doubt, like, I'll acknowledge there's more than one way to get somewhere.
Yes.
But just because that way works doesn't mean another way wouldn't have as well.
Exactly.
Cody, like, it would have worked if Cody finishes the story, has that great feel good moment, WrestleMania Hollywood. Hell, you were in Hollywood. It was a story written for Hollywood.
But instead, I think it's going to happen in the birthplace of America for the American dream.
Yeah.
And that will be interesting if they do it that way.
I mean, look, I know I'll geek out for it. If Cody wins the championship at WrestleMania, we're there.
It's going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be electric.
Yeah.
And to me, there's always something, like, I'll say this. Ever since I went to WrestleMania 35, I was telling a lot of people, if you've never been to one, you need to go to one.
You really do.
Because, like, when I went back and watched it, I wanted to see if it felt the same on TV. Like, if I were sitting at home watching that WrestleMania, would I have felt as invested in it as I did when I was there? Because, man, like, when Kofi Mania, when Kofi won the championship, I went out of my skin. Like, it was insane.
That place went nuts.
When Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar to start the show.
Yeah.
Like, I was going nuts. And I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder how this plays on the network.
I mean, of course it plays out well, but it's not like being there.
Right. And I was watching it and I was hearing the crowd and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I think I would have gotten bored with it. It was a long show.
Very long.
And I still say the most impressive part of the entire show was not one bathroom break for this guy.
That is impressive. That's very impressive.
Over 5 hours, not one bathroom break. And then he factor in the 2-hour pre-show.
The 2-hour pre-show, it's really a 7-hour trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, after, when I'm at work, going over 2 hours without a bathroom trip, man, that's hit or miss.
That it is. That it is.
And I had a hot chocolate at WrestleMania that year too.
Wow.
Like, when I had the hot chocolate, like, middle of the show, and one buddy who's sitting there with me, he's like, dude, I thought for sure you were going to have to get up and go at some point.
All right.
He's like, and he was sitting to my left, which was closest to the aisle. And he kept waiting for me to nudge and be like, okay, I gotta get up and go.
Gotta go.
Never did.
And you never did. That's good.
But okay, so my WrestleMania, basically the road starts with Cody winning the championship at SummerSlam.
Okay.
A big, like, Roman kind of goes away for a little bit.
Right.
When he comes back, like, basically, like, there's like a, are the Usos with him still? Is Solo with him still? They go into the Royal Rumble.
I have a hunch they might get split up.
I think they might.
That would be interesting.
I think that would be very interesting, especially, like, you could have a great. Oh, Jey Uso was another guy I was going to push in my King of the Ring tournament.
Okay.
Maybe not to win against, like, either Gunther. Well, I mean, I know I had Austin Theory losing already to Montez Ford, but I had Jey Uso versus Gunther in an early round matchup and have him push Gunther to his limit. and to where you walk away thinking, wait, I could see Jey Uso challenging for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah. That'd be pretty good.
And so, yeah, so my idea brings us to the Royal Rumble. So the last couple people in the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns is out there, like maybe 26, 27 or whatever. And John Cena comes out number 29.
Okay.
Number 30, out comes The Rock.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, The Rock comes out number 30, eliminates Roman Reigns before being eliminated by the winner, John Cena.
Okay.
And so we get John Cena, Cody Rhodes to main event WrestleMania Night 2.
Oh, wow.
WrestleMania Night 1 will be headlined by the war within the tribe. The war in the bloodline, Roman Reigns versus The Rock, one-on-one.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my other matches, I was kind of teasing them at, so I started thinking about, like, okay, who are the other key players that I need in the card? I thought, I'd love to. You've only really gotten the one Brock Lesnar AJ Styles match. I would love to see that match at WrestleMania. Okay. Some of the others I thought about, like, I mean, we haven't really seen like Seth versus Sammy. Like that could be interesting.
That could be interesting. One match I would be very interested to see. I think it would be a great match. And why not do it at WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. Have a fatal 4-way in a lucha exhibition, have the entire LWO against each other.
That would be great. I do have the idea that eventually Santos Escobar and the rest of the LWO turn on Rey Mysterio.
That could happen. I think that's definitely in the works to happen. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they're going to do that, especially right after Dom has turned against Rey.
Right.
I have a hunch that might be maybe a year, maybe after next WrestleMania.
I could see that. And you know what I'd love to see, and maybe it's just because I'm an old sap, is like when the LWO turns on Rey Mysterio and Santos and company turn on Rey. I would love to see Dominic like on the outside, like having just gotten beat up by these guys. And Dominic sees his dad getting beat up, and he just can't take it. He jumps in the ring and helps save his dad.
That would be pretty good.
Like the emotion of that, I think would be, and then like after he clears the ring,
have him hug.
Yeah.
And then say, Dad, I love you. I'm sorry. Let's go after these guys.
Exactly. And we could have a big matchup, Santos Escobar and maybe even a 3-on-2 handicap. Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and what's his name? Mendoza.
Oh, Cruz del Toro.
Cruz del Toro, that's it. Yeah.
You know what I could see if we're going that route? The Mysterios and Edge.
Yes. That would be fantastic.
Have Dom come out and make up to his Uncle Edge.
Yeah.
And then you have
after Dom makes the save for Rey, then you have the emotional moment where Dom comes out with Edge. Right. And maybe Edge is a little resistant to the idea of teaming with him, and Dom looks at him and is like, Uncle Edge, I'm sorry. And extends the olive hand, extends the arms for a hug. Right. And you see that embrace, and
then boom. Then we're off with the 6-man.
Yeah, then we're off with the 6-man to WrestleMania.
Right. That would be good.
Yeah. But yeah, so like those are some of my ideas. Obviously, I would love to move the Andre the Giant Memorial to the main card.
Yes.
Along with a women's battle royal instead of the stupid showcase match. I will say the men's showcase match did deliver very well. Oh, the other big match I wanted to see happen is, and I don't care which one of the champions, which one of the challengers. I want to see one more time a big blowout because they've never actually had a WrestleMania match against each other. New Day and the Usos at WrestleMania.
That they never have had a WrestleMania match. And then I think if New Day versus the Usos is one of the tag team belt matches,
Mm-hmm.
I think the other one should be Sammy and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
You let them hold a title for a year and have them go against a team that's kind of forgotten in the mix right now. Guns and Gallows.
Oh, I would absolutely love that.
Because those two have kind of been forgotten since AJ's been injured. They haven't. I'm surprised with the WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way, they didn't bring them in.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought they'd be a part of that, and I thought it'd be a great way to reintroduce them.
Right. But obviously, they have plans for them with AJ together, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stay consistent with a storyline, I'm a-okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, just have the three of them as a unit. That's fine. The one thing I didn't get with that unit, and I know why they did it, was Mania didn't fit in.
No, and I mean when they did even when AJ and Finn were trying to take on the Judgment Day and they had Liv Morgan with them, I was happy to see them doing something with her,
but
she didn't seem to fit with that group either.
No, it seems like they try. It seems like besides Rhea and the Judgment Day, recently they've been struggling to have the mixed units, the mixed stable.
Yeah.
Like, Liv didn't fit in with AJ and Finn. Miriam didn't fit in with the OC. When they try to do that, NXT it works fine with Chase U worked well. Works well, but on the main roster they're kind of having a hard time gelling the pieces together. Now I think Zelina with Legato is working out well. Just want to see where they take it. I hope that Zelina challenges Rhea soon.
Yeah, I would enjoy that, man. I want to make sure they end up on the same show against each other after the draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it's going to be interesting. I do want to mention before we get into the other possible brand extension over in AEW that has been teased. I do want to mention something you talked about with me off air about a potential partnership with us and.
Sean, let me see my phone real quick. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just need my phone for 2 seconds.
Can I see the keys to check out the car?
Yes. Yeah, I'm just bringing the information up.
Thank you.
It is going to be in Hamburg on the 29th. It is the American Excellence Wrestling. They're doing an autism acceptance show. And that's
awesome.
And it's going to be at the Hamburg Fieldhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Doors open 6:00. Bell time is 7:00.
Yes, that's gonna be a good time. I know we're looking forward to being there. You're gonna be there earlier in the day. I know with a table sponsored by them, right?
Yes,
by the company.
Yes. Well,
yeah, that's big. That's awesome.
We are sponsoring, and then they're gonna plug our podcast as well.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. I can't wait.
Yes.
Definitely want to have some of the guys on there. I know that in the past, one of our hosts on another network or another show here on the network, Ryan, had gotten a chance to talk with the Blue Meanie about possibly coming on our podcast. So hopefully we can set that up in the coming weeks. Yeah,
yes, that would be good. But now it'll be fun to be at an actual live local event. Another opportunity I did at this toy show on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I didn't know this, but Ricardo Rodriguez is living in Lancaster and opened up his own training school and promotion as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I would love to go out there and see his show sometime. Yeah.
Now they're running the same night in April, but in May he's running a different night. So
okay, cool. So we'll have to get out there for their May show. Yeah.
So we'll have to go out for that one too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
This is something I wanted to do. Like, I haven't been to an actual. Gosh, I think the last show I went to was WrestleMania 35.
Wow.
So it's been a minute for me.
That is.
And part of the reason is, and I know we talked about this, like, I didn't really know many people that were really that into it.
Right.
And so, like, I would go to every show that there was, but with not really knowing anybody, I didn't want to be that weirdo sitting there by himself, in his one seat, just watching the show. When it's like, for this kind of social interaction, I could just be sitting at home watching it on TV.
Exactly. And that's the one thing that makes it more it's more fun when there's more than one person.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm looking forward to like when WrestleMania comes. I know I've already talked to a couple people who plan on going, as well as you.
Yeah.
That I want to put together a nice little tailgate for WrestleMania. Probably more like night 2, because night 1 is going to be coming right off of the NXT Stand and Deliver.
Stand and Deliver, yeah. That's going to be a long day.
Basically, we're going to get down there early and try to, like, my idea is going to be to have breakfast down there.
Oh, wow.
And
it's going to be nuts because also Icons is going to be down.
Right.
They're going to do that weekend. I don't know if they're going to do like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Who knows what they're going to be playing in. There's going to be a ton of stuff that week.
Like, I already know my plan is I want to take off Friday from work. I want to take Friday. I want to take, of course, I'll be off the weekend, but I'm also going to take Monday and Tuesday off.
And just enjoy it.
Yes, because I want to make sure to also go to Raw the night after WrestleMania.
Yes, that's going to be fun.
Exactly. Like, all this, it's going to be so much fun. Like, that's stuff I didn't do when I went to WrestleMania in New York, basically because I was trying to do WrestleMania on a budget.
Exactly.
And this time I'm like, you know what? To hell with it. I am going to, make sure to have a good time.
Right.
Because I'm probably never doing this again.
No. And see, this will be my, I guess, third WrestleMania.
Okay. So what was your first?
15.
Okay. So you were 15.
I was at 15. And I don't know if I ever told you about the terrible night before 15.
No.
So,
oh boy.
So USA was doing a party at the convention center.
Oh, yes, the rave party. Yeah.
The rave party. So it was a Chef Boyardee sponsored WWE rave party. My buddy and I go down for it. We paid $75 each.
Oh.
And the only food there, it was all you can eat Chef Boyardee.
What the fuck?
Yes. Then they tell you, like, then they cram you all into this one room for the rave party to hype up Stone Cold and The Rock. And
yeah,
I think Undertaker might have been there, Triple H. But, like, they advertised autographs, they advertised this and that, and
delivered nothing.
It was 5 autographs. That's it.
Oh.
And would I tell you the names? Now it's really cool. However, back then it was like, what? It was Edge and Christian.
Okay.
The Hardy Boys.
You're right. In 99, that would not have been that appealing.
That wasn't that great. And then I lucked into, as we were walking out of the party, just sitting at one of the tables, the 5th autograph I got, I lucked into it, was The Rock and Owen Hart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a keepsake.
Yeah. So somewhere I have to find, I think I still have that program.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And like Owen was the big one, obviously. But the other 4, back then it's like, are these guys going to do anything? Little did you know that a year later,
Yeah, all they're going to do is steal the show at a couple WrestleManias in a couple of years.
Right. You didn't realize until a couple years later.
Right, but on that night, you're probably walking out like, what the hell was that? What did I spend $75 for?
That's what I was talking about, Fred. I was saying, we paid $75 for this? And then we were downstairs for WrestleMania. So we paid like $1.50 a ticket. Back
in those days, like you were a senior in high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure like man, you were hustling for every penny.
Not too bad because I was working a lot. I was working 20 hours. Usually I'd work like 2 nights during the week and then full 8-hour days, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So that really wasn't bothering me.
Yeah. I remember I had a few people over to watch that WrestleMania. It's funny, 2 guys, like, because where I went to high school, we had a big TV studio, and I mean, like, it was better than most colleges.
Right.
And so, like, we had a couple of guys who we'd started, I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we had our sports entertainment club.
Yes.
That I helped get started with this one teacher. We had to have a teacher that would sponsor each club that we had.
Of course, it was high school.
Right. And there was this one teacher, Mr. Decker. He was a huge wrestling fan. And so obviously we went to him like, you want to sponsor our sports entertainment club? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'd be a little pissed off if you went to anybody else.
That's awesome.
And we, as a group, like there was like 10 of us sort of that went to Sunday Night Heat in, I guess it was November of 98.
Okay.
It was like the same weekend that the New Age Outlaws were getting scouted by the corporation.
Okay.
And like,
so was that in Philly or?
Yeah, that was in Philly.
Okay.
They did it at like noon. And I remember, so like I have an impressive Eagles consecutive games watch streak that is now over 500.
God bless you.
So back then it was in its infant stages. And I remember thinking, like, because this was a Sunday Night Heat, like it taped at like noon on Sunday. And I thought, I'm like, oh man, like I'm going to miss the game. And the Eagles were god awful that year. So I thought, what are you going to do?
Right.
But thankfully, the Eagles didn't play till later that day in Green Bay. And so I actually got home in time to watch the game. And it was like, I remember I had actually mentally prepared myself for the fact that I wasn't going to get to watch the game.
Right.
And when I got home and the game was just about to start, I honestly just thought, I'm like, I'll be all right. I'll go upstairs and just do homework or something.
Right.
My dad talked me into staying down and watching it. Thankfully, he did, because otherwise the streak would have never existed.
Right. The infamous 500 game streak. God.
Yeah, that's a lot of bad football.
That's dedication. A lot of heartbreak.
Yeah, a lot of heartbreak. I was in a Facebook battle with somebody this week about Jalen Hurts and his contract, and got just like, oh, whatever, he underperformed and you overpaid him. I'm like, how can you say he underperformed? He got us to the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, I've seen people going back and forth. Honestly, I think the number's ridiculous.
Oh, the number's absolutely ridiculous.
What these pro athletes are making, especially in the NBA, MLB, NHL. I mean, NFL.
Well, especially in like you said, the NBA, and the MLB, where those contracts are guaranteed.
And that's how it hurts. 179
is guaranteed, which, I mean, to me, that's also what you pay attention to. Like, forget about the 255 million.
Right.
It's really, it's the 179 is guaranteed. And that's the number you pay attention to. And, like, that's insane.
Right.
Which is why the big talk about, what's his name? Lamar Jackson wanting his contract fully guaranteed, which only one player in NFL history has gotten. Thank you, Cleveland Browns, for Deshaun Watson. And
I don't know.
You guys getting your money's worth there in Cleveland.
And see, my thing is I like Hurts a lot.
Sure.
I think he's a great player. He seems like a class act type guy.
Mhm.
But is he in the same overall level for him to be the highest paid NFL player ever? Is he in the same breath as Marino, Montana, Elway, Brady, Manning? We're
Well,
gonna have to wait and see.
yeah, and the problem there is that those guys aren't up for new contracts right now.
Exactly.
If they were, they'd be getting paid more than Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. So
Because
that's where
it's all a matter of who signs their contract last, and that's why the Eagles wanted to make sure to get their contract done first. But anyway, that's for a different show.
that it is. That is. I'll have to make an appearance on one of them one time.
Yeah, you definitely should. That would be a good time. In fact,
Yeah.
funny you should mention that. This Sunday at the Italian American Club in Wayne, we are going to be doing a Eagles roundtable discussion, pre-draft discussion, where we will
Okay.
be previewing the next Thursday's NFL draft.
Oh wow.
And I will have a special surprise attire that I have teased wanting to do.
Oh
Um,
boy.
I doubt Ryan's watching it. In fact, I know he's not because there's nobody currently watching.
Right.
But so one of the jokes is like I have fully embraced becoming an old man. Like, 42 years old. Like I am the embodiment of that like old curmudgeon.
Okay.
I'm 42 on the outside, but on the inside, I'm a 60-year-old man. Damn it!
Okay.
And like I'm set in my ways to get off my lawn. Like I am that cranky old bastard.
There you go.
And I have one of my things that I wanted to do over this past winter when it was like, I mean, it wasn't a bad winter. It was nice and warm most of the time. But I wanted to get some tracksuits.
Okay.
And one of the jokes Ryan says to me, he says, Eric, he's like, dude, he's like, you've got to get like an Eagles tracksuit.
Oh no.
And so I'm just like, well, yeah, sure. I'm like, and like he found some Kelly Green one. It's not really an Eagles one, and I got it, and I wore it on St. Patrick's Day, and it was funny, and like, but I found an actual Eagles tracksuit, like an official Eagles tracksuit.
Wow.
My plan is to wear it Sunday to the round. I've not told Ryan this. He has
Oh,
no
boy.
idea this is happening.
That's amazing.
So yeah, anybody, if you're thinking of coming out, come out to the Italian American Club. See an old guy in a tracksuit.
That's awesome. What time's that show? Noon?
That is at 3:00.
3:00. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're in the neighborhood, yeah, Wayne, the Italian.
That's not
American.
too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just tell them you know the bartender, Sandra. That's my aunt.
Okay. Very nice.
Actually, the door should be open at that point.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a private club. But anybody, if you come in and you want to watch the show, you'll be more than welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should be a good time. But let's get into. I want to talk about your fantasy booking for your WrestleMania.
Okay. It was obviously, like I said, I think the main event next year, we're looking at Cody chasing Roman for another full year. It's kind of reminding me of NWA Starrcade 84. Dusty
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
85, he gets injured, comes back, shenanigans happen. And then he finally wins it at the Bash in the Cage in 86. I don't think they're going to wait a year and a half. I think they're going to wait a year. And it's kind of where it's that poetic American dream, the birthplace of America. It almost lines up really poetic for Dusty and for his honor. Got into the Gallows and Anderson against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait out.
I think the main title for Raw, if they do the brand split, I think we might be looking at a Seth Rollins LA Knight match
Ooh, that'd be fun.
because I really think LA Knight. I think Triple H has his finger on him right now.
Mm-hmm.
He hears the fans when he comes out. He gets a big ovation. People like him.
Yeah.
I think it's time that he gets that big push.
I agree with you. He is one of those guys, and he's one of the guys I remember when I was thinking about my King of the Ring tournament for, in my build up to my coming WrestleMania. One of the names I had circled was Push LA Knight, and I wanted to push him deep into that tournament.
Yeah. And I think
I had him beating, it may have been John Cena in the second round because I had him in the 8-9 matchup.
Nice.
Yeah, and I thought, if LA Knight were to meet John Cena in the second round, you could have a nice upset. And that way, it's still like John Cena gets to appear, gets to be a 1 seed, and he gets to get out of the tournament pretty early.
Exactly. But then you go LA Knight gets over. And I think that would be good. I think another match, I mentioned the LWO match. I don't know. Well, I guess it's going to be SmackDown Women's title.
Okay.
I think we need a Rhea Becky WrestleMania match.
Ooh, yeah, I'd be in for that.
I think that would be one to really headline a show. Raw Women's title, I'm kind of up in the air. Are they going to let Bianca hold it a whole year?
I hope not.
I hope not. I think, though, at next year's WrestleMania, if Bianca is still the Raw Women's Champion, I think her challenger might be Roxanne Perez.
Okay.
It might be too quick of a call-up, but I think she's almost ready.
Yeah, I think she's one of those that are going to get called up during this brand split.
I think so. I think next year's U.S. title match, Austin Theory and Braun Breaker.
Now, one of the I love that idea, Austin Theory, Braun Breaker. One of the ideas I had when I saw when I look at Roxanne Perez and I think about where she's at, and I see Cora Jade. I wrote those when I wrote down those names. I wrote down Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, and underneath I wrote in parentheses Sammy Kevin ? Because their rivalry kind of reminds me of that.
It definitely does.
And I would love to see Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade at WrestleMania. It doesn't even have to be next year's WrestleMania. It could be 41. But I will see those two lock horns at a WrestleMania.
And that's going to happen, I think, eventually at some point. And that's pretty much the bulk of what I was working on.
Well, I feel like a lot of the undercard stuff, it's too early, really is too early to predict.
It is too early.
That stuff. Yeah.
One thing that I'm interested to see with this draft, are they going to keep the Judgment Day together?
Right. And how are they going to do that? Are they going to, is it going to be like in the past where you could draft factions? They're being very vague with some of the rules, and sometimes I think that adds lure, and sometimes it's just frustrating because I think either one, they don't know yet, they haven't decided,
correct,
which screams to me they're disorganized.
Yeah,
and which I would say you don't really need a draft, but I understand it's a lot. There are a lot of superstars. I understand you're trying to give everybody an opportunity at airtime. I know all the reasons why this can work. I guess my problem has always been the initial, you have to initially buy in to the idea that it can be two separate brands.
Yeah.
Whereas I grew up with it, it was always there's one WWE, and no matter how many shows you had, if you're a WWE wrestler, you can wrestle on any of the shows.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to wrestle on all of them.
But it's nice if you're on both.
But okay, you don't have to sit there and say Roman Reigns only wrestles on SmackDown.
Right.
Like it can be one of those things where it's like, oh, for 3-4 weeks in a row, Roman only wrestles on SmackDown. And
Right.
then you could have 3 or 4 weeks in a row where Roman only wrestles on Raw.
On Raw. Yeah.
And
That's
then like for a couple of weeks you could have it like 1 week he works Raw, the next week he works SmackDown. Like you could like I guess there's just always more than one way to do what I'm suggesting.
right. And see, the thing is also
Mhm.
there were so many more options for the wrestlers back then.
Right.
And I think that's what really made it, because if you weren't making money in WWF at the time, you could go to AWA, you could go to World Class, you could go wherever you want to go.
Yeah, you could go to NWA, Eastern
Yeah.
Championship Wrestling,
Right.
wherever. Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like, well, we're the only show in town for so many years, but now we do have AEW.
Well, and it's like, and how many guys did WWE employ basically just to keep out of their competition? Like,
They did
how
that
many
for
years did Mike Bennett sit there and not get used at all?
yeah. I mean, another name that's signed with WWE in November, and they haven't even used him, is Eric Young.
Yeah, he's been signed for like for those of you who didn't know, and how would you? Eric Young has been a WWE licensed superstar since November.
Yeah. What are they going to do with him? I mean, not unless now they're kind of just waiting.
Well, I suppose he could have a nice run-in role on somebody like either at the draft or you
Uh,
know
I'm beginning to
somewhere.
wonder if Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane are going to be signed soon.
I mean, I suppose they could.
Because Nikki Cross is going back to that weird gimmick, that stalker type
Yeah,
gimmick.
she's kind of really embraced that, and I could certainly see with that little weird like dichotomy she has with Candice LeRae.
I would love to
If
see a Sanity Judgment Day feud.
I would too. But before we get to that, what I would love to see is like the whole like Nikki Cross been like when she was in the background in so many different interviews, and she was in the background when Candice LeRae was on there. I would love to see like Candice and Nikki kind of being uncomfortable around each other, and like Johnny Gargano going to check on his wife and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Everything all right?" And then out of nowhere, Eric Young strikes, and Wolf and Dane, and they beat the tar out of Johnny Gargano. And then all of a sudden, maybe you see Dexter Lumis come in to try and make the save, but can't.
That would be pretty cool. So,
Yeah, that'd be a great way to reintroduce Sanity.
yeah, I think if they reintroduce them, they got to do something. They have to do something better with them.
Yeah,
because their first main roster call up.
Oh, that was a drizzling turd.
It was yet again. It was a Vince butchery of NXT talent.
Yeah, that was the shits. That was terrible.
That one was awful. I couldn't believe how bad they were with that. And that's the thing that
whenever anybody says, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Like the WWE, man, they're a billion-dollar company. Like they clearly know how to handle talent, introduce new stars. My response is always sanity.
Sanity. Or if you're not going to do the sanity gimmick, maybe bring back Bobby Roode and Eric Young together.
I think that'd be fun. Yeah,
I think that would be pretty good.
Yeah. Bobby Roode and Eric Young have always had great chemistry together, and I would love to see like introduce Bobby Roode in kind of more of a main event role, like let him work with AJ Styles. And
yeah, I feel like
chemistry they had in the past.
I feel like they've kind of let the ball down on Bobby Roode a lot.
Yeah, I would say they've really dropped the ball with Bobby Roode.
Yeah, because he's another guy who hasn't done much recently.
No, in fact, has he even been on TV since November?
No.
Has he even been on TV in the last year?
They were having him do house shows with Omos to try to get
Okay.
him to show Omos how to be a heel. And
Hmm.
that was the last then he got injured, I remember.
Okay.
And then that's kind of been the end of the Bobby Roode experiment right now. But I'm really hoping that they can bring him back to a more main event role.
Yeah, I definitely think he belongs in that kind of role. And I think about guys that could get him there. Like, again, like a feud with AJ Styles, a feud with Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Like, Seth can work with anybody. Seth could work with a freaking broom and make the broom look like $1 million.
He could. He's unbelievable. He really should be the one that they are trying to make the face of that company. But
yeah, it's really a shame. Like, I mean, I love Cody Rhodes. I think he's worthy of the role that they've given him.
right.
But that's part of why I wanted him to get it now. Like, let him have his title reign now, so that then, like, when we get to next year, we could have, like, whether it be John Cena getting his 17th championship.
Right.
You can have Seth Rollins going 15. You don't have the belt being held hostage by Roman, and it's just okay. Well, who's going to take it from him and when?
Right, but I think that they're really building up to that chase.
Yeah, to me, it's like it makes me wonder, like, how long is Roman going to keep wanting to do this? Like, to me, if I'm Roman, I'm not even interested in this stuff anymore. Like,
it's been so overplayed with Roman.
Right. Like, I'd be like, dude, why are you going to keep marching me out there and just like at this point, he kind of looks like that good soldier, just going out there and doing what he's told.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like, here I am.
He walks out there and it's just like, yeah, look, guys, I know you're tired of it. I'm tired of it, but you know what? Superman punch, spear, repeat.
Right. Yeah, and then it's just kind of like, when are they going to use Roman next? Are they going to use him at back? It looks like he's not going to be on Backlash.
It doesn't look like Backlash because Cody's working with Brock in the main event.
Right. And the Bloodline's working against Riddle, KO, and Sami Zayn.
So that's 2 championships that aren't going to be defended at Backlash. Are we going to get back to those pay-per-views, those god-awful in-your-house pay-per-views that they used to have where like no championships were defended?
They might. They really might. I'm guessing they're going to have one of the women's titles defended.
Yeah, I suppose, but like
maybe
so I guess Bianca and Io Sky. Like, why wouldn't this past Monday have been a perfect time to have Bianca and Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship?
Maybe they're going to do it back.
Won that triple threat.
Right. And then we're going to have Night of Champions. I guess he's going to have to go to Saudi Arabia. And then
I got to be honest, if a company was making me go to Saudi Arabia, I would demand a month off too.
Right. And then Money in the Bank's London, so he'll be there.
Yeah, I would assume he's at the 2 international shows.
Yeah.
And then I guess SummerSlam?
SummerSlam's next. So yeah, maybe those 3 he'll be at.
Boy, that's a tough schedule there, champ.
Yeah, that's a real tough schedule. And how about those lucky fans in London finally getting what they deserve?
Right. They really do deserve that too.
They deserve both those shows coming to them.
Yes.
Always a fever pitch over there with wrestling. They deserve 2 really big shows. God bless them. They're getting them within 2 months.
So did you hear about like the funny little rumors that Goldberg could be going to AEW?
I've heard it.
And they were going to try to book Goldberg CM Punk loser retires match. And I saw somebody post on your response, double DQ question mark.
Yeah, exactly.
They both have to retire.
That would be great. Yeah, I'm really.
By the way, AEW, I don't think they've had a single double DQ match
I don't think they have.
in their company's history.
I'm going to be interested to see what they're going to do at All Out for the main event.
That's yeah. I mean, I suppose do you have a triple threat match somewhere before the go home episode between Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin? Winner gets MJF, or do you have the Fatal Four Way?
I think for Double or Nothing they're going to do the Fatal 4-Way.
Okay.
I'm wondering because now that they're going to have this Collision show, I believe that's the working title for the Saturday night AEW show, and perhaps the brand split we're going to get.
Yeah, the rumored brand split in AEW, which look, you already have two companies there. If you want to have a draft, it's fine. AEW, Ring of Honor.
Right.
Have your draft like that.
Just make Saturday night Ring of Honor instead of having it on Honor Club. But what do we know? We're just peons in the game.
Yeah, I know.
But
I haven't been watching wrestling for 40 years.
But is it going to really be Punk and FTR against the Elite as a all-out main event in London?
It's got to be a world championship. To me, I guess I'm just old school in the sense that if your main event's not a world championship match, it's not a pay-per-view main event.
Right. And I think as long as they play it right, I think All Out's where we're going to have MJF, Adam Cole.
Yeah. And that would be perfect. All Out. That's All Out's the Wembley Stadium one, right? Or is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Wembley. Yeah.
Okay. So at Wembley, we're closing with MJF, Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah. I think that's where we finally get that. So.
And I think that'd be great. And I think that should be Adam Cole winning the world championship that night.
I think
he should, but I don't think he does.
I think he will. I think
he will. Okay.
I think it's one of those things. Tony Khan
gives people what they want.
Tony Khan listens to people from what everyone says.
It's a novel concept.
Very novel, and I think he might give people what they want, especially with how they've portrayed Adam and Britt. I haven't seen all the All Access shows yet.
Yeah, I've watched all the ones they've had on.
Right.
I guess the next one's tonight. But yeah, I've watched the first couple. Yeah.
And the way they portrayed him the first couple, I think I missed the third one so far.
Yeah.
They're really pumping them up, and I think that's the right move for them.
You know who else they're pumping up a lot? And I was kind of surprised, but Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, they are. But you know what?
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
I'm fine with it. He's a good young talent.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think they have the opportunity if they can lock in MJF, Darby, Jungle Boy, Guevara for long term. They've got a good future.
And it's so funny. MJF's talking about the bidding war of 2024.
Right.
I don't think there's a single bidding war about it. Like, I think he is all but locked it up. I think that was part of when he went home. Like, I think that was part of what their negotiation was.
Yep.
With him and Tony Khan was, hey, look, let's have this agreement in principle. Let's not tell anybody about it. The last second, I'll just sign the contract. So that way it'll look legit. Like, oh, wow, there's this great bidding war. But I think that's a total work.
Yeah, I think so too. And then now they got Switchblade. That adds to their young crop of talent.
That was a huge get. I really thought WWE was going to swoop in and get him. And I thought they were going to make sure, like, they got Switchblade and they could have had a great little rivalry with, like, either have Switchblade and Finn Balor on the same side or have them face each other, or start off on the same side and then have them face each other to WrestleMania. That's a good get by Tony Khan.
That was.
All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
No, I think we covered a lot tonight.
I think we did. I wanted to just briefly touch on my post WrestleMania hangover, and I know like we've kind of talked about it like indirectly or like in subtle ways over the last few weeks since WrestleMania, but there does tend to be, and even with good WrestleManias and good outcomes, there tends to be a real WrestleMania hangover.
There does.
And I remember after one of the worst WrestleManias I could remember, WrestleMania 27, when they right away announced the main event for WrestleMania 28. I remember my initial response was, "You're freaking kidding me.
Yeah.
If you're going to make me wait a whole year for this match?"
This match.
Because I read like when they're talking about it and they're teasing this idea that they wanted to fight, I started thinking like, are they really gonna have John Cena and The Rock at like Extreme Rules? Like what the hell? Like,
Oh
and
boy.
then it was, oh yeah, it'll be at next year's WrestleMania. I thought, the fuck out of here! We're waiting a whole year for this.
And we did.
Oh, we did.
We did. I mean, but they did it well, I thought.
They really did, and it was like, how are you going to carry this? And John Cena had to kind of carry the rivalry for the most part.
Right.
And they had their little Twitter battles,
and then they did their tag team match, which was
the tag match. I thought that was so important for their story.
Yeah, and R-Truth and The Miz didn't. I mean, yeah, R-Truth and The Miz, they didn't get enough credit for what they did.
No, they really did do a great job in the build up to that match and making it feel like a believable fight. Because when I tell people, it's like, oh yeah, John Cena and The Rock were a tag team. Holy crap, who did they face? The Miz and R-Truth. Wait, what? And you bought that crap?
Right.
Yeah, not only did I buy it, I ordered the pay-per-view and then bought the DVD afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was lucky. At that point, I had, excuse me, I had a VCR DVD combo player type deal.
Oh, so you could order it, record it, the VHS, and then burn it to a DVD?
I was able to, with that machine, I was able just to burn it, the recording, straight to a DVD.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
those were the days, man. That was something. That was some great technology back then.
I got to dig it out in my closet downstairs. I have like a 400 CD binder of wrestling DVD.
Yeah. I have a binder somewhere, and I have no earthly idea where it ended up.
Right. With
but like, I had some gems in there on DVD, like not only of sports entertainment, but like I'm a huge University of Texas fan from the years that I lived down in Houston.
Okay.
And I have the 05 Rose Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Texas USC.
Nice.
Yeah. And or was it 05 or 06? It might have been 06. Whenever Texas beat USC for the national championship, Vince Young had the performance of a lifetime.
Yep.
And like my one buddy, he was like, all of a sudden he got into this whole kick where he was ordering all these old bowl games on DVD, and he got that one, and it was just like, oh, here, I'll burn you a copy of it. And so I have this burnt copy.
There you go.
USC game.
Nice.
So somewhere, if I ever find that again, I'll have to watch that.
Somewhere, yeah. I think it's thrown out, but I might have burned it on DVD before I threw out all my VHSs. I had the Chris Benoit tribute show.
That is one, good sir, that I would enjoy an opportunity to get my hands on.
I'm going to have to dig through. I might have that raw on DVD.
Oh, wow. Because it's so funny. If you go back and look on the network that week on Raw, it's just a best of 2007. Yeah, and it's just some of the best matches. Ironically, none of which featuring Chris Benoit.
Ironically. And the thing is, it's like... when you go back and you look at that, which I've done in the past, the way William Regal talks on that show, he almost knew something happened before everyone knew.
But who was this?
William Regal.
Oh.
He knew
Yeah, I
because
saw that's some of
I,
what he said. Yeah.
I think Darkseid touched on it that
Mm-hmm.
Regal lived in Atlanta at the same time and knew that Chris and Nancy were having problems.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, because on his comments when they were talking about Benoit, he said he was a wonderful performer, but he said, when it comes to Chris the man, I will have to talk to you about him later. And at that point, he said that, but no one, it wasn't until they started actually airing the show live
Right.
that we're finding out this information. And WWE has a lot of egg on their face at the 10 o'clock hour.
Oh yeah, when they get to the 10 o'clock hour, and I mean, I know they aired the whole thing in its entirety up till 11,
Yeah.
and I was watching, and well, it was one of those things I started late, so when I turned on my TV, so our DVR system, I remember at the time it was one of those like you could record two shows, but you had to be watching one,
Right.
and so it had automatically flipped to the WWE show. And so when I turned on the TV, it's like midway through like the second hour, and it was like Benoit and JBL or something like that are fighting for the U.S. title at WrestleMania 22 in their best of Chris Benoit tribute.
Right.
And then like, what the hell are they doing? So I hit the DVR button, go in, and I started from the beginning, and I'm just like, I'm blown away. And I'm fast forwarding, and when I got to the end, I caught up like a little bit like before the show ended. As soon as the show ended, I'm just scrolling through TV. I'm just flipping through, and I get on CNN, and that's when I saw the investigation of the murder suicide. I'm like, oh boy, WWE's got to feel pretty freaking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I gotta dig. I might have that one.
I remember I was one of those that like I wanted to be a holdout. I didn't want to believe that Chris Benoit had really done it. Like
That's
I
how
was
I was
definitely.
feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, and it was just the shock of the situation, and because I'd been such a big fan of his, like I would consider myself probably one of his biggest fans.
That's how I was. I
Yeah.
when I've read because I forget I was off on a Monday some reason.
Hmm.
I didn't get Night of Champions, and then
Right, I didn't either. Yeah.
I was at the Marple Crossroad Shopping Center with my mom. She was at Marshall's. I just went on my phone to WWE and it said Chris Benoit dead. I'm just like, what? And I was texting one of my friends, like, did you know this? And no one knew about it. So of course I wanted to watch that night.
Yeah.
Um, but I think because I was recording everything, I might have been playing poker Monday nights at that point.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I gotta watch this. And
Oh,
boy,
boy.
were we all in for a surprise.
Yeah. Oh man, like that was one of those like gut punching moments,
Yeah.
and because I remember when I was in high school, somebody had spread a rumor, and I know it was someone just trying to mess with me because again they knew how big a Chris Benoit fan I was at the time, and they said, "Oh, Eric, I think Chris Benoit was in some kind of car accident or something, and then Chris Benoit died." I'm like, "What?" This was like on a Monday morning or something like that. And
Right.
so I watched Nitro that night because he was still at WCW at the time, and of course there he is, and I'm like, fuck, what's wrong with this guy?" Like,
Right. And
and I
then
was waiting for the same thing to happen with that. I was waiting for it to be like, "Oh no, just kidding. Like, he's fine." And if you watch, I went back and watched the Night of Champions on the network one time,
okay.
and during the ECW Championship match, which originally was supposed to be Chris Benoit against CM Punk,
Yep.
they have John Morrison in there as Johnny Nitro at the time,
Yep.
and the fans are chanting, "We want Benoit." And I'm just like, "Ugh, you know what? You know who didn't? Nancy didn't, and
Nancy.
neither did their kid."
No. Oh man.
Which talk about one of the poor victims of that whole thing, David Benoit. But
Yeah,
the Dark Side of the Ring, I think, did a really good job captivating just how terrible that had to be for him.
for him. Yeah. In fact, he was up visiting his mom.
Yeah. Thankfully, he was. Yeah, I think didn't he live with his mom regularly, and then would go down and visit his dad on I think he said like he had been down there for WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I forget.
Yeah, I think because was it WrestleMania? That was 23, so that was in Detroit. In fact, the last event that WWE had at Ford Field
Yeah. Yeah, it was
until this coming
WrestleMania time.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And but like that's got to be such a terrible for that. Like, and how do you have those funerals for like? How do you have Chris Benoit's funeral? Like, what do you do for that? Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know, you can't stand up there and talk about what a great guy he was, what a great father he was, what a great husband he was.
I don't know.
He was a great pro wrestler.
He was a great wrestler. Took one too many blows to the head.
Yeah, he did. Talk about the walking advertisement for CTE.
Yep.
And it's a shame because I don't want to put this on anybody, and I don't want to like put the idea that this could happen to somebody because I don't want to ensue this with what I'm about to say. But Brian Danielson and like during that whole concussion thing that he had in was it 2017, 2018 in that era, like that had me very concerned thinking that he could be the next Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
And like I remember just thinking like, man, when are we gonna wake up to hear like, you know, Bree, Birdie, and like, and I would never. I don't think it's like. I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he's taking all the precautions that he can.
Yep. And I think he's wrestling a lot lighter of a schedule, which is good.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, I feel like some of the stuff, like, at the end of the MJF match, like, I feel like some of that was, like, real for him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he has real issues thinking to himself, wondering, how many chair shots am I taking? How many can I really take before CTE is going to set in? I don't want to hurt my family. Like, obviously, like he's got to make money so he can provide for his family, and pro wrestling is the best way for him to make money.
Yep.
And so it's a double-edged sword for him.
It is.
Which is why I was always hoping he would stay in WWE, where I felt like he would be more taken care of.
Yeah, me too.
Because in AEW, like with like Tony Khan is a billionaire who became a promoter. Vince McMahon is a promoter who became a billionaire.
Yep.
And so if I look at the two of them and say one of them's going to tell you, hey, go out there and take a real damning chair shot to the head that could really screw up your life and your family's life, who do I think that might be? I'll tell you who I don't think it is. The guy who's already paid huge ass lawsuits to settle with families for
About that.
CTE.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the guy who I don't think's asking you to do that.
Exactly.
We can say all we want about bad things about Vince McMahon and about his terrible booking, but I think Vince McMahon is a smart enough businessman to know that's just bad business to ask somebody to do that. I think Tony Khan could say, I don't think he would, but I'm saying it's not as much of a stretch as Vince McMahon were to say, hey, you know what? This match needs something a little extra. Hey, how about one time, man? Be real careful, but chair shot to the head.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you last time I've seen a WWE chair shot to the head.
Not since 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if Brock Lesnar did like an inadvertent one or something, but like,
Right. Yeah.
like I'm trying to think of during that when Roman Reigns was handcuffed. I want to say he slipped and gave him one, and you could tell like it was a cringeworthy moment, and like Brock even stopped himself afterwards.
Yeah.
But like he was down, and I think he was aiming for the back, but hit like the back of the head or something.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. Definitely an accidental one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he didn't square up and just say, "Okay, this one's going right between the eyes."
Right. Yeah. He didn't say
He
you're getting
didn't have the
screwed.
Rock Ken Shamrock moment
No.
when Ken Shamrock's sitting there and does the whole "bring it to me," and he's supposed to no sell it, but
Right.
he just got whacked so damn hard he was done.
Yeah. Oof. Cringe.
Like, oh yeah, especially now, knowing what we know now. Like,
Oh,
if you go back and watch some of the stuff, like I was listening to something to wrestle with, and they were talking about the beginning of the '98 Royal Rumble match when Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie are exchanging unprotected chair shots to the head.
oh yeah.
And Bruce Richards like, oh my god, he's like, I watched that and I feel like I need to call up and tell both Mick and Terry Funk I owe them a couple $100 for that.
Oh God. But those two would go out and do it for 5 people in an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love the who was it? Somebody gave Terry Funk oh yeah, Chains gave Terry Funk a pile driver in the middle of the Royal Rumble, and Bruce Richards asked about it, and Bruce just goes, Terry probably called it in the ring, just said, "Give me a pile driver."
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely knowing Terry.
And like, who's Chains to say no to Terry Funk,
No one's to say no to Terry Funk.
right?
Yeah.
All right, I think we've rambled on enough.
I think we have.
Everybody's been patient with us. I know my wife's probably anxious to have dinner.
Probably. Yeah, I got to figure out what we were doing for dinner tonight.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Come out, support the local wrestling show. When is that again?
The 29th in Hamburg at 7 at the
All right,
Hamburg
29th
Field
in
House.
Hamburg. Yeah. Come out and check us out. Support our show. Support our local wrestling. That is something I know I want to become a bigger part of, especially for our show. I want to get out there to some of these smaller independent shows.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah, I think we really shouldn't. We found 2 not that far away. So
I think we should definitely get out there and be a part of it. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Everyone, thanks for hanging with us. Have a great night and happy wrestling.